Just this past month, I made $5,000 with Doordash. Now, it definitely did not come easy, and I had to do some crazy stuff just to hit that goal because of the obstacles I had to overcome, like wrecking my car 2 times. Oh man, that is just not a pretty sight to see. And having 2 different rental cars. But that didn't stop me. So I'm going to be going over what I did in order to make $5,000 with Doordash in a month and things you can do to hopefully make that amount of money as well. Now, this list of tips is going to be divided into 2 separate kind of lists, I guess you could call them. One is more of the Doordash strategy side, and the other is the mental side, and just some different little tips that I found out along the way. So number 1, this is the number 1 tip I always give because it is the very most important one, and that would be to know your area. The better you know your area, the better you know what restaurants are going to be quick, what restaurants usually have higher tips, what time of day to go out, and all that good stuff. Automatically you're going to make more money. So just get to know your area every single day the best you possibly can, and it's going to be easier and easier and easier to make $5,000 in a month. And also it's going to change depending on the season. Some seasons are way busier than others, and so you're going to have to factor that into it as well. Some months you might be able to make $5,000 not working that many hours. Other months it might take you a lot longer to hit $5,000. That all has to do with knowing your area and becoming more and more seasoned as a dasher. Number 2 is get an early start. I found that it's a lot easier to go out during the day. Once the sun starts setting, you get kind of tired. And for me personally, I just end up wanting to go home and relax, watching basketball and eat some pizza or something. I don't really feel like going out past like 7 or 8. So the earlier you can start, the longer it seems like your day lasts, and it doesn't seem as hard to go out and dash. Number 3 is accept most orders. The reason I say that is because if you're constantly trying to cherry pick, especially nowadays with the whole new priority dasher program, I don't think it's that beneficial to be really selective with your orders. But the reason I'm putting it on this list is because if you let the bad orders get to you and it gets you frustrated and you're ending up not receiving that many orders, then you're going to get frustrated. You're going to want to go home even earlier. So if you just accept the majority of orders, just take the decent and the good orders, then you're going to be cruising along continuously and you're not going to be so frustrated, because I know for me, I just get really frustrated if I continuously see bad order after bad order after bad order, and then it's like 5 minutes with no orders. So if you accept most orders, you're going to avoid that problem. The next tip is to know that Doordash always evens itself out. So if you're having a couple of bad orders in a row, just know it's likely to get better as long as you just keep pushing. That happened to me so many times during this last month. I had problems with like closed roads and just problems dropping off orders, and it all evened itself out in the end. So just keep that in mind. So tip number 5 is to recognize that the more you go out in Doordash, the more problems are going to come up. I've done a lot of challenges in my day, especially ever since I've been on YouTube. And let me tell you, the more hours you're going out to dash, the more time you're putting in, the more problems come up. If you only go out like 2 hours a day, a couple times a week, you probably rarely ever run into problems with Doordash. But the longer you go out, the more hours you're working, you're going to have problems with customer addresses, problems with drop-off, problems with closed roads, problems with restaurants, problems with restaurant systems, just not even having your order in there. So just know that the longer you go out, those problems are going to come up. But like I said in a previous tip, it'll all even itself out. Now, tip number 6 is to push through obstacles. Obviously, we've kind of talked about that already in this video. There's going to be things that come up and you're going to get extremely frustrated if you're like me, and you're just going to have to push through. I got into 2 car accidents this past month, and I went through 2 rental cars and just all the problems that came with Doordash in and of itself. So just one thing after another kept coming up, but I just pushed through, kept my head down, tried to control what I could control, and I found that that was the best way to make as much money as possible. The next thing you're going to want to do is space out your time evenly. Try and only take like 1 day off per week, or maybe even no days off if you can do that, because it just makes it so much easier if you can go out and dash like 6 or 7 hours a day instead of doing like 5 or 6, 9, 10-hour days, in my opinion. This is all just my opinion. Maybe you like it different, I don't know. But I just found it's easier to go shorter periods of time, as many days as possible, if that makes sense. Now, we already have a pretty good list assembled, but if you don't really want to follow any of these tips, or you think I'm just making all this up and you think it's not going to work in your area, well then just do this one thing and you really won't have to worry about keeping track of all these tips. And that would be to download the Solo app. This is the best app that I've found when it comes to pairing up different apps with Doordash. So it has everything you need. It tracks your miles for you. It shows you how much you can expect to make on average in your area. And they have the coolest feature I've ever seen in a gig app before, and that would be the pay guarantee feature. Or if you schedule out your shift, then they guarantee that you will make that money. If you're out there dashing, even if you get the worst orders in the entire world, that's okay because they will make up the difference for you as long as you're out there trying to make money. So if you download this app, schedule out your shift, you can know exactly how long it's going to take you and how many hours you're going to have to work in order to hit $5,000 every month. Now, unfortunately, the pay guarantee feature is not available in every single market, and that is because not enough people have downloaded the app because it's fairly new, but the more people that downloaded it, the more analytics they can have, and so they can get every city that pay guarantee feature. So it's not in my city yet, but I would really like it. So go ahead, click that link down below in the description. When you download it and link one of your accounts, you're going to get a $10 bonus as well. So if you do that, then you only have to make $4,990 in the month, which makes it that much easier. It's like doing a $10 for 0 mile order. I mean, who wouldn't take that? The next tip I have for you guys is don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done. When you have an earnings goal set, like I have to make $200 today, then it's going to be a lot easier to stay motivated and stay focused when you're like, okay, I can stop when I hit $200 instead of just like going out 8 hours, maybe you only made $150 and you're like, man, I really wanted to hit $200 today. I've already gone 8 hours, whatever. Like, no, if you say I'm making $200, no matter how long this takes me, then you're going to be more focused. And I think you'll be able to hit that $200 quicker than if you set a time goal. I did this on one of my best days of the entire $5,000 month, and it worked out really well for me. Now, tip number 10 I have for you guys is don't sleep in your car. Yeah, that seems like an obvious one, but I ended up having to do that because I had fallen so far behind on my goal that I didn't want to waste any time driving home, so I would just sleep in my car and then go out and dash right when I woke up. But yeah, don't do that. Make sure you're getting good sleep. Tip number 11 I have for you guys is set up your own motivation. For me, I had two different motivating factors. I had one, I was doing all of this $5,000 a month to raise money for breast cancer awareness. And the other one was I made a legal document saying that if I didn't make a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time, then I would have to shave my head. So doing different little challenges like that for yourself, or even calling up one of your friends and saying, hey, if I don't make this amount of money in this amount of time, then hold me accountable to this. Or even having like a money competition saying like, hey, let's go out so you can make this amount of money as quickly as possible, because that's going to help motivate you, help you go as quickly as possible when you're out on the road. And the last tip I have for you guys is kind of one that is intertwined with all of these tips, and that would be to just hold yourself accountable. If you say you're going to do something, make sure you do everything in your power to try and get it done. But there you guys have it. That is the list of 12 things that I think can help you make $5,000 in a month. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, download the Solo app, and I'll see you next time.